It's just a couple weeks away, and then it's Apple event season again. I feel like we just had an event, but man, does time fly, and you know for sure we're getting hardware at this event. Whether or not it's a mystery, there's still some mysterious elements when it comes to the iPhone, not so much, but yeah, today I'll be going over what we should expect at September 10th next month. So let's just start with the main star of the show, the iPhone and the iPhone Pro. That's my prediction as to what they're calling them. The only thing we know for certain is that one of the iPhones is going to have Pro involved in the name, thanks to CoinX, who has a very solid track record. That's the only thing really confirmed. I still see a lot of channels and a lot of people out there assuming it's going to be called iPhone 11, even though there's no evidence of that. I feel like a company like Apple doesn't like the number 11 and would rather just simplify their naming scheme, even if it ends up making us have to say the year every time we refer to the iPhone. But it is very much going to resemble the launch of the iPhone 7, which meant that the looks of things didn't change too much, but once you actually start using the phone, you will notice quite a few changes. So, of course, all three iPhones coming out next month are going to sport an extra lens, with the two different sized iPhone Pro models rocking triple cameras, and the regular iPhone model rocking a dual camera. You should expect ultra-wide lenses on those triple camera setups, and also the telephoto lens is likely to be improved with maybe a 3x zoom. I wish it could go further, but that's what current leaks are saying. And then that regular iPhone is going to be shipping with a 3x telephoto lens as well. Personally, I think with those ultra-wide lenses included, they're going to allow you to take portrait mode shots with the standard lens by collecting data with that ultra-wide, and it won't be just limited to people. It'll actually let you take pictures in real time of anything you want with really, really good bokeh masking, thanks to the updated A13 chip, which is going to blow the competition out of the water with much faster speeds, and of course all the data being collected from that ultra-wide lens, which should help mask out things in the background so Apple knows what to blur and what not to blur. In regards to how they handle portrait mode on the regular iPhone with just a dual camera, personally I think you'll still have portrait mode with the regular lens, and the telephoto, as it used to be the primary lens for whenever you took a portrait mode shot, is now going to be reserved just for zooming in, and Apple's going to acknowledge that most people like taking portrait mode shots with the regular lens. Hopefully they provide the option for you to take a portrait mode shot with the telephoto if you want to, but of course with being a 3x zoom you may run into issues with that. And you should also expect battery life improvements, of course, to all three new iPhones. We're seeing milliamp hour numbers leaked between 3000, 3200, and 3500, which means across the board battery life improvements. The smallest battery life improvement coming to the successor to the iPhone XR, which already had a really good battery life, and the most significant battery improvements coming to the 5.8-inch OLED model this year. So battery life is just overall getting better, speeds are getting better, and there's talk of frosted glass, so no more glossy glass on the back of the iPhone, and potentially even no iPhone on the back of the iPhone. They may be removing that text entirely, so you just have a solid Apple logo on the back. I think that gets the point across. People can tell it's an iPhone. And behind that frosted glass, you should also have the option for bilateral wireless charging, meaning if you want to charge your AirPods or charge another phone using your iPhone, you'll have that option. And even the front-facing camera is supposed to be getting a megapixel boost this year, potentially up to 16 megapixels on the front, which may allow for things like 4K video recording, or perhaps even an updated version of Face ID. This is something I'm really, really hoping for. They could bring the capabilities of the iPad Pro's Face ID to the iPhone lineup, then you would see a much, much easier unlocking experience for people. Hopefully it can be faster, work from more angles, and of course still be very, very secure. Maybe even better than it was before. But an improved front-facing camera may help with collecting data and having a very, very solid imprint of your face within the code so that it knows when an authorized user is accessing the iPhone. Another exciting leak that I've seen brought up several times during the lead up to this iPhone release is that Apple will finally be shipping fast chargers this year with their iPhone, and that means USB-C to Lightning cables in the box. What exactly the brick wattage will be, we don't know for sure, but we do know Apple currently ships 18-watt USB-C charge bricks with their iPad Pros, so maybe for the sake of simplicity, they could also start shipping those with their iPhone, given so many people have been asking for them for years now. We know iPhones can support fast charging, and also if you want to go back to my argument about why Apple doesn't include fast chargers in the box, since then Apple's released iOS 13, which by default in battery settings has a toggle turned on called Optimized iPhone Battery Charging, which analyzes how you use your phone throughout the day and makes sure that it doesn't charge your iPhone past 80% until right before you're going to start using it, which supports the argument that Apple's going to be including fast charging chargers this year in their iPhones, because even if you use your fast charger as your default charger with your iPhone, you don't have to worry about the battery health degrading as much because of that optimized iPhone battery charging feature. So gets rid of a lot of the issues and a lot of the downsides you may experience with fast charging by turning that feature on by default, and most people probably aren't even going to notice it's there and will likely just notice that their phones are charging faster now with the included charge brick. And more importantly, I just think it's great that they're finally including USB-C to Lightning cables in the box so that they can plug them directly into their MacBooks if they want to. I feel like that should have been done a long time ago, but Apple is known for being late to a lot of trends, and this is no exception. So I hope that rumor ends up being true. If not, it's really gonna suck this year. And also, given the slowing down of iPhone sales and overall the disappointment that a lot of people have had with more recent generation iPhones, and the fact that so many people are holding on to their iPhones longer than they ever have, I think it would be really smart for Apple to not change any of the prices this year. We know, just like in 2018, they're releasing 3 new iPhones this year. All those 3 new iPhones are going to have the same screen sizes and screen resolutions as last year, so we know it's not that major of an upgrade. They're adding things, but they're not adding a lot of things, and if they want these iPhones to sell and they want people to upgrade from their iPhone that they've had for 2-3 years now, I think it would be really smart if they kept prices where they are right now, which are not really low. I understand that for the iPhone Pro, starting at $1,000 for the smaller model and $1,100 for the plus size model, these are very expensive phones. Even $750 for the regular iPhone, the R series, is still more on the pricier flagship side of things. So it would be really stupid right now in 2019, when iPhone sales aren't looking too good, to suddenly decide that, well, we've added a bunch of features to this year's iPhone, so I guess we better raise the prices again. Personally, I think that would go really poorly for their sales. A lot of people would avoid upgrading simply due to higher price points, because a lot of people already have avoided upgrading because of how expensive iPhones are getting. And it's funny that even Android competitors have followed through with raising their prices to have $1,000 phones and $1,100 phones. It's not a direction that's helping the smartphone market, because not just iPhone sales are slowing down, all smartphone sales are going down. And given the front of these iPhones this year are going to look identical to last year's, and quite often in the past people are not interested in upgrading if the front of the phone looks the same, making sure you keep the price points where they are, which I think have maxed out a lot of people at what they're willing to spend, is a pretty important factor in the pricing of this year's iPhone. So I really hope Apple can keep them the same this year, don't raise them any higher than they already have, and even then you're probably not going to see that many people upgrade, because the changes from 2018 and 19, I'll admit, are quite small. There could be other small things like the mute switch being redesigned, or a redesigned Taptic engine getting some more features, but apart from that, just physically it's going to be very difficult to sell people on the 2019 iPhones, which is likely why Apple's going to be pushing lots of different color finishes this year, similar to what they did with the iPhone 7. It's funny because changes between the 6S and the 7 were very much internal. Aesthetically, there weren't a lot of noticeable changes, but every single picture of marketing you ever saw for the iPhone 7 always showcased that dual camera version jet black, because that was the most noticeably different color and variant. So Apple always plastered that on all their billboards so that people would feel like there was a lot of changes with the iPhone 7. And personally, I think there were, they just weren't super noticeable. In regards to everything else that you should expect at the event next month on September 10th, there's going to be new Apple Watch finishes, the return of the ceramic Apple Watch Edition, and also introducing a brand new finish, the titanium Apple Watch. Whether or not that's replacing stainless steel, or maybe that's going to be an addition for some reason, we're not sure entirely, and I'm also not sure if it's going to be a Series 5, whether they're going to update the CPU at all, or if it's just going to be new variants of the Series 4. And there's also been a little bit of chatter about AirPods. I know we just got new AirPods earlier this year, but we all know from the packaging and from Apple teasing it at their last iPhone event that the AirPods we got earlier this year were supposed to come out in September. So those were late. Maybe Apple's just trying to not be late with this generation of AirPods, and we could be seeing AirPods with active noise cancellation, maybe new color options, maybe a Pro model and a regular model, but you know those AirPods Pro are going to be expansive. And in regards to potential iPad updates or potential Mac updates, I imagine a lot of those would likely be delayed until the October event, and they'll have a dedicated event just for Mac and iPads for more productivity reasons, and they'll just designate this keynote for iPhone stuff. Or it's quite possible they may try to merge the two and announce the 16-inch MacBook Pro and announce the 10.2-inch iPad also in this event, but personally, I kind of doubt it. I think more recently they like keeping these things separate so that they can put more press attention on the new iPhones and all the great features they're going to have. They'll probably talk mostly about how the ultra-wide lens allows you to take a picture, and if someone was cut off, you can uncrop it and zoom out and then fit the person back in the picture because that ultra-wide lens is always working around in the background. They'll have some nifty features and stuff like that. But ultimately, very much is going to feel like an S year where there's not too many changes. But hopefully, there is a one more thing. Hopefully, there's a few surprises and we have something that's sneaking up behind us that's going to hit us over in the head and we don't even know it. Really hoping for some type of announcement like that we just didn't predict very well, because past few years we have learned at predicting these things fairly accurately, and I feel like I know most of what they're going to announce at September's event. So Tuesday, September 10th, expect the event to happen, and then that Friday on September 13th, Friday the 13th, oh god, expect the pre-order day when you'll be able to order the new iPhone and new Apple Watch. Then on September 17th, you should expect iOS 13 to come out for everybody. That includes the new Mac OS, the new Watch OS, iPad OS, all of that will come out to the public, not in beta form anymore. And then iPhone official release day will be on September 20th. That's when you'll see a lot of people outside Apple stores, and tons of unboxings will likely take place a little bit before that. Also at this event, they may reveal the pricing of Apple TV Plus and Apple Arcade. Those have some rumors going around them as well. Apple TV Plus is going to cost $9.99. Apple Arcade is going to cost $4.99 a month. Both of which I may mess around with the free trials, but I don't think either of them I'll pay for monthly, just because they're services that I likely won't use very much, but you may be different. So let me know what you guys are thinking about hitting me up over on Twitter or joining our Discord. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.